This video is all about the Philodendron Dean Mcdowell. I feel like I can give advice about this plant because I've grown this in LECA within a year from this little tiny, it almost died. This plant almost died, little thing, into such a large specimen. Future Kevin, put in the clip. Can you believe? So from that little thing, and I'm going to show you the journey. This is going to be a longer video, I feel, but I'm going to show you the journey from like that little thing to a year later, like how I grew it in LECA. And then a year ago, I propagated that plant. I only kept 2 chunks or cuttings. That was a year ago. I'm going to show you the journey from that. So chunks, propagated, and perlite, and how I got this beauty right over here. And now she's in Lechuza Pon. The 2 different substrates. I do have the second one here. I think she's dehydrated, so I'm kind of embarrassed to show it. Oh, there's a new leaf. Don't break, don't break, don't break, don't. Oh, she's so dehydrated. Okay, this is the second one. She's in a planter that's this long, so it could crawl. Has these 3 leaves. There's a new leaf over there. Oh my God, look at this, everyone. I love this plant. It is such, in my opinion, it's such a rewarding plant. Like I don't know. So again, this is all based on my experience in my specific environment, and it's only really my experience growing this plant in LECA and Lechuza Pon. I am growing this one currently on a moss pole, which is a new thing that I have wanted to try for so long. So I'm gonna quickly go through, when I first got this plant, her almost dying and just the journey with that, because I think it's still such an amazing journey. Okay, 1, 2, 3. The bottom one here, I put it in a smaller pot, both of the cuttings. Okay guys, so it has been 3 months from the time I chopped up this plant in half, and it was looking real bad, and it's still not great. But yeah, I didn't really notice this, but look at this new cute baby. It just opened, I think, because it's still really soft. But yeah, like I'm really happy with this new baby. This is a new leaf finally coming out. I know this was a new leaf, but I mean, it wasn't doing great. Like, look at it now. But from this plant, it's pushing out this leaf, which is much bigger. I'm just hoping this one is happier than the last one. Again, I'll keep you guys updated. This was, I think, the newest leaf that was unfurling. So it looked actually pretty decent until I want to say like a week ago, and it started to show signs of chlorosis, or I don't know what this is, whether it's nutrient deficiency, nutrient burn, I have no idea. And there is a new leaf coming out. So I've been debating if I should transfer this to either pond or soil or not. Like, I might keep it in here and see how this plant likes LECA. It doesn't seem like it likes it. The root system is very large here. All these roots, they're all just hanging out together in the nutrient solution. And that might be a reason why it's looking like this. Maybe it's too overwhelming for the plant. But yeah, I guess I'll keep you guys updated. And I'll show you her now. She does have a new leaf. I think in the 5-month update, she was unfurling this leaf. Here she is now. She's bigger than the previous one, which is great. But you can see that she's a bit yellow and what it looks to be chlorotic. Another thing I wanted to point out, this is from the same plant. This is new. I'm gonna keep it the way it is. Who knows what's gonna happen? I know at the time I said I might transfer it into Lechuza Pon, but I think right now I'm just gonna keep her in LECA. And again, the roots look great. Again, here they are, very healthy. Okay guys, so this is the, oh my God, this leaf. Okay, so I can't, it's so pretty. Oh my gosh, look at her. I mean, I'm just like happy. I mean, you saw what she started out as. Whoa, okay. Okay, so I do want to talk about the previous leaf. So this is the oldest leaf over here. You could see she's a bit chlorotic and yellow. The one after that, I think, is this one. She looks okay. She has, you could see a little bit of yellowing there, and then the one before the newest leaf is this one, and you could see that she's not the most green. You guys have seen where my plants live, so this one is against the window. It is a south window, And yeah, that's all the light it gets. And she's just fine. I'm so happy to finally show you this plant. Like, so pretty. Okay. Oh my God, look at this leaf. Look at her. She is so pretty. Yeah, like this is her. This new leaf is just so gorgeous. The plant was also branching off in a different direction. I don't know what to do with it for now, but I'm just gonna keep her where she is. So the second plant is also pushing out right over here, guys. So this is a new leaf. Oh my gosh, 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 oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Okay, you all can't probably see it right now, but oh my gosh, I'm walking so slowly. Guys, I'm using my sack of espresso beans to... I should have just brought you guys to the plant. What am I thinking? Okay, let me just shift you guys. Oh, okay. So let's just look at the newest leaf here. So this is honestly insane. Like, these are gigantic leaves and I can't believe it. Wow, guys. Wait, okay. Let's put the picture again. I'm freaking out. Let's pull up the picture from a year ago. It was like a stick with some small roots and a little growth point. And now this is the situation right now. What is happening? Look at this leaf. Oh my gosh. Guys, this is not okay. Okay, so there is a new leaf. This is gonna be horrendous to show you guys, but there's a new leaf right in the center. You could see that she's at the very end of the 17-inch pot, and I had to tie her down because she kept tipping over. Okay, and I'm gonna go through this quickly, but there was a totally like new growth point. I'm holding onto this. Future Kevin, zoom in. Look at this hand. I'm holding on to the second plant that was like an offshoot of that little tiny stick. Look at all these leaves. Like, can we take them in? Obviously they're smaller because it's a younger offshoot than this plant, but like, wow, I can't even believe this. Oh. Okay, a few things to kind of take away from that whole process. I still can't believe it. Can y'all believe it? This was like the era where I over-fertilize everything. So during the summertime, I do double up my nutrient solution for my plants in LECA. So here was the nutrient solution. I want to say on average between May to September of 2021. I was changing the nutrients every 2 weeks with a fresh new batch of this nutrient solution. And then from October to I guess April, it would be the one that I use now for the majority of my plants. Is there a reason why I double up? I mean, the needs and the growing kind of increases during the summer months. There isn't anywhere like a textbook where it tells you like Philodendron Dean Mcdowell, feed it this much during this. It's just something I wanted to experiment with. I don't know if it was overkill, but you know, I did get that lush, large foliage in a year. So that was a nutrient solution. In the very beginning, when it was small, I had this plant under grow light. Now, I don't know if I included a clip where I mentioned it, but like halfway through, I was talking about the yellowing on the leaves edges. Was I linking it with over-fertilizing? I think I was. But at the time, these leaves were under my Sunblaster LED Grow lights, which I now know are very harsh when it comes to philodendrons, when it comes to anthuriums. Like, you will see yellowing on the leaves. Ever since I moved it away, and then this was, I think, closer to spring and summer, like against my south-facing window, I think that's when she started taking off, because I think the second half of having that plant, she was under grow light. Philodendrons, they don't need bright indirect light all the time. I think they can do quite well in medium light conditions, and I think medium to bright indirect is like the sweet spot. Temperature was consistent. It's kind of the same now, so 60 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And at the time between 2020 and 2021, the humidity in here was as low as 35% to 55%. Now that I have a lot of plants, like it's now shifted to 40 to 60%. You have more plants to cluster them together. The humidity goes up because all the plants are kind of forming their own microclimate around themselves, and then when you push them all together, it's just like this bubble of humidity. Watering kind of ties into nutrients, so I was changing the nutrient solution every 2 weeks. Every time the reservoir would dry out, I would just put plain tap water if I didn't have nutrients on hand, and for a short period of time, like that's totally fine. Like, it's not going to be the end of the world if it runs out and you don't have nutrient solution. Like, it could last like 1 to 2 weeks, I would say, like that's fine. And again, plants have mechanisms to pull from older growths in the plant. So when you see like a yellowing or crispy leaf, it just might mean that the plant is using the mobile nutrients in that growth and allocating it to newer growth. Looking at the roots and the behavior, okay, I think this part is very important. When it was in that long planter, when it was in LECA, obviously she was crawling, and those additional nodes that grew built that root system. I think that's very important in order for the plant to push out new leaves. Obviously, again, if an older root system decides to rot for whatever reason, the plant can still pull from the new node, the new root system. So that's why I always recommend covering new nodes where there's adventitious roots so they can root, just in case something happens to your plant. But at the same time, it makes the plant feel secure in where it is, and therefore it will decide to push out new growth. I'm not saying that you always need to do that, because I have seen a lot of people with like large gloriosums, passasanums, Mcdowells, and they're crawling out of the pot. I just think that main root system that it already has in whatever substrate in the pot is already large and in charge and healthy, feels secure in where it is, and therefore it doesn't necessarily need those additional roots. I just really prefer, you know, in case something happens, just having another root system. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, wow, okay, Kevin, please find the clip. Future Kevin, you really need to find this clip. Oh, it's a picture. I think it's a picture. This philodendron bloomed for me. How wild. And if there's any philodendron experts, because I was still at the time not convinced that it was a Mcdowell, because I bought this as a passasanum. Yeah, again, that was the time I was doubling up my nutrient solution, so I think that helped. Like, while having that additional branch, that was like a new plant, and then an inflow, like I think it helped. And so yeah, that was really the journey in LECA. The issue that I had with this plant, she got so big, I didn't really have room to pot it up in a bigger pot, and I know I potentially could have like propagated the end, but I kind of just left it. And that was like the worst decision, and I regret it to this day. I really should have repotted it. If not, I should have propagated it at the time and just, you know, grew new plants like what I did a year ago. During the winter of like 2021 to 2022, and it even continued into spring, the roots, like a lot of the root systems died off. And I think it's because days were shorter. So even though it was against the south-facing window, the hours of light weren't enough. And also, south-facing window, sure, it's like better than all other sides, but 2 condos blocking the sun is lower in the sky. And when you have days that are overcast, it's like no light. Sometimes I don't like when people think that this success of this room is because I have a south-facing window. It's not. Like, I wouldn't have these grow lights all over the place if that was the case. And it's not as simple as just saying south-facing window, period, that's it. It's not that. Again, living here for like 7 years, I know this environment, and I know that in the winter, it's scary how dark it gets. It's 11:30, it's probably 50-foot candles, I'm telling you now. That is not enough for a lot of plants. So because of a lot of root death, and that's why I was talking about like submerging more roots, just so you have, you know, backups in a sense, because there was a bunch of root rot sitting in the nutrient solution or in the reservoir, and you're not giving it a lot of light, that's when you will see the rot, and that did happen. I think in spring, summer is when I decided to chop this plant because it was out of control. I really didn't have room for a lot of the leaves. I tried my best. I think there's like an Instagram clip or something. My Philodendron Mcdowell propagation. So I chopped up my Philodendron Mcdowell. She wasn't doing great, so I just wanted to start from scratch. So yeah. So I think I made a mistake, guys. Y'all are gonna laugh. Y'all gonna think I'm crazy, but this is what I did with the propagations. So 2 grow lights, but the leaves are so big. They're so big. It's just in moss. And then there's more in this bucket because I just didn't know what to do with the rest. And then there's more over here. Oh my god, guys. I don't even know. Oh, but I had no room. Okay, I had no room, but also we're going into the time where I had a huge spider mite infestation of my entire collection. I'm not even kidding. It was 100% of my plant collection infested. There were webs everywhere. Because of that also, I cut off all the leaves and I was left with like stumps or wet sticks. I like calling them stumps, I don't know why. I don't know if a lot of them had roots. I don't think they did. And so that is the beginning of the propagation process from the very beginning. And I decided to do perlite. I don't know why. I put it in a Tupperware, I guess, and they were slow. Everyone, they were so slow in my opinion. I don't know. I still haven't like pulled the clips together, so I actually don't know if it was truly slow So I did have more plants. I actually gifted one to my friend, one to my mom. And then I think the other ones I got rid of. I did save two. So that's the one that's crawling that I showed you earlier in Pon. And then the other one is this one. Yeah, I mean, they're doing well. I'm still shocked that a year ago they were stumps. But yeah, let's dive into the second part or chapter in growing this plant. So I will include clips from about a year ago when I put these in a perlite prop box, and then just additional clips, you know, as a plant grew. We have some good signs, guys. Like, look at that new growth over there. We have one right there, and there's a small cute one right over there. Yeah, I just threw them in here with wet perlite. I really prefer this method. Wet perlite ensures, number one, there's enough aeration around the plant, and two, that it's still in a very wet and moist environment. It's the perfect environment for roots to develop. Just put in a little bit. The reservoir is just that much. Obviously, because I'm keeping this top on, you don't need to put the reservoir too high just because there's going to be less evaporation. Second one is in LECA. So I haven't looked at these in like a week or two. So let's take a look. Okay, there's like literally nothing. I can't really tip it, but future can zoom in. So they're just submerged a little bit, and I think you could see a few new growth points. I'm currently just using the bottom part of this planter just because it tells me how high the reservoir is. I think you could use more. So first I like assessing to see if there's any rot, and the stumps all feel good. Oh my God, I can't even show the LECA is just rolling. So you can see there. Look at that new growth, specifically the one right in the middle. Future Kevin, zoom in. That wasn't there before, so that's exciting. You could see over here, look at that. So the one in the middle, I guess you could see a little bit of new greenery there, but the one on the end, there's literally nothing. Let's do an update with my perlite propagations here. These are my Philodendron Mcdowels. I'm really annoyed with myself because I kept the lid on for too long and I didn't realize there was a gigantic leaf coming out, and it's already ripped because you see the rip. It's because the lid was on it, so then the leaf had nowhere to go, and I don't know if I can save it. Can I save you? I don't think I can. I don't think I can. Okay, so it's definitely time that I take her out. But yeah, there's a few more babies. Like, look at this. I don't know if this is a mistake, but I'm gonna put her in this small, I think it's a 4-inch pot of Pon, just because she's still a small plant. I don't imagine that the roots are that big. It's, oh, the perlite went everywhere. Oh my God. Okay, so nice root over there. I'm just adding more Pon on top. And here we are, guys. Oh my gosh, she's a little cutie. Some nutrient solution. I'm hitting the nutrients just over here, just because I know that the root is sitting like right at the bottom of this pot. But yeah, this is exciting. So I thought I was recording again and I wasn't. So I already potted up the chunk. Update on my Philodendron Mcdowells. I haven't really talked about them in a while. This is the smaller one. I think the last time I talked about how she was getting blasted by a grow light, and that's where all this yellowing came from. But now look at this. She's so cute. Cute. Okay, and then the biggest one is this one. Oh my gosh, you are stunning, girl. Okay, so I said I was waiting because I want to put this up a moss pole. I want to see where the petiole was going. Look at that, like here you could see like the streaks of red. Caterpillar is so red. You could see that she's going like that way. And so am I gonna put a moss pole now? Oh my gosh, am I doing this? Am I gonna put in this big one? I just know how big they get. Y'all have seen how big mine got before I chopped her up.
Am I doing it? Am I doing it? Yeah, that's it.
Moss pole, moss pole, moss pole. Gonna have to be the big one. This is the right decision, right? I feel like it is. I've already grown it crawling. And to me, she kind of got out of control and she was very unstable. This might not change it, but then the Pon is heavier than LECA. See, this is what goes through my mind. Okay, let me do it. I'm just gonna do it. You know, I'm so worried that it's gonna like go rogue and just like climb the other way. I can feel everything breaking. Ooh. Now, she was on the dryer. Oh, do you hear that? Oh my This juicy root though. She was on the drier side. Look at all these roots. They look so good. Girl, please be okay. And who knows? This might be like, it might be so difficult to control and she might just go off of the moss pole, but I want to try it. Now I'm just gonna put moss down there. Now, a little part of me is scared because it has happened to me before with my Philodendron luxurians. Sometimes when like the caterpillar has a new leaf and it's touching the wet moss, it rots in that area. And so although I want it to latch on, I just don't know like how much to push it towards it. And if I don't push it close enough, then she won't root. So I'm trying to like find just a better way. Maybe I should just leave it. Maybe I should like wrap that part. Okay, y'all, she doesn't need that much moss right now, so probably just gonna leave it like that. Here she is. She's so wonky though right now, but hopefully in time, I'm hoping. Look at this beauty. Okay, so she is actually pretty dry. She has 2 other leaves and they look fine. But here's the thing. I only kept 2 of my propagations just because when these get big, they get out of control. One is on a moss pole. I think I decided, because I wasn't gonna keep this one, but I think I've decided to put it in pon and let it crawl. Ooh, oh my gosh, I haven't had plants in these planters in a while. This is gonna be a little interesting because plastic isn't necessarily the strongest and pon is heavy. So I'm gonna see how much this planter can take. I have another cashpo, like an identical planter, so I might just put the cashpo with this one just to reinforce it. She feels okay. It's gonna be a different story when it's wet, I guess. This might be the last plant I have in these planters that I absolutely hate. So I'm just gonna pour, and as you can see, there's a color difference. It's because the substrate is so dry. Okay. It's pretty okay actually. There are some like dry roots. When you feel the main root systems, they're actually okay. Edge of the pot, right over here. I can already see that it's growing this way. There is actually a new set of aerial roots that I didn't see before, so that's great. Yeah, how exciting, y'all. Let me adjust. It's so dehydrated, everything's just flopping over. Yeah, I'm gonna cut this leaf. This is so funny. I just need to show you how funny this looks. Okay, look at this. It's because it's like dehydrated. Obviously it's not used to, you know, being in this planter. Actually, that looks gorgina. But we'll just see if she continues to crawl. Have a window to kind of show you like how high the water level is. There are a couple wicks, so it doesn't necessarily need to be touching the net pot. Isn't it wild, everyone? I still think it's so wild that those wet sticks turn into this plant. She's beautiful. Leaves are just so gorgeous. I feel bad because this new leaf up here is hitting the ceiling and that's why she's bent. And then also like moss pole, like how wonderful, like there are roots everywhere. I don't know what y'all just saw, but I tried. Sure, this plant is a crawler. I get it. To me, curiosity is so special, like it's a special thing. And like I have a lot of it. Like I'm so curious about so many things. So I want to grow this plant, and y'all know that I'm growing my Philodendron luxurians up a moss pole and just seeing how they behave, seeing if they actually like follow the moss pole, because you know, sometimes they will go their own way. No? Okay. And so far, this one is like on the edge, so we'll see when there's a new node, but she's growing up the moss pole beautifully. Again, from my experience in LECA, even though it's not the same, I pulled every single thing from growing that plant massive in that 1 year to when, you know, she started rotting, and kind of followed the same kind of thing. Like I think when they were obviously wet sticks, it was under grow light, super high humidity. I don't like doing that method because the transition from high humidity to low humidity, it's very difficult for me. A lot of my plants die when I like move them out just because it's just a shock to them. When I did transfer them into pon, I did have them under grow light. I think I started moving it away when they grew larger foliage, when the leaves were starting to touch the grow light and showing damage. that's when I moved it against the south-facing window. At this point, I think it's summer, so like with these plants against the south-facing window is fine. I started to worry into fall, winter just because of my experience the last time. And so I was just trying to be careful with the watering because I didn't know like what state the root system was with specifically this one. I know with the other one, because I have her, I'm going to show you, there are roots in the reservoir, and this is the same planter I use with the one in LECA. There's a window here, so you can see the water level, and there are wicks as well at the bottom. Okay, I'm gonna unwrap it. I'm gonna show you the roots. Please, please, please. Oh, it's so dry. But do you see that end? I don't know if I'm shaking. Ooh. Okay, it's dry. Instead of before, when I had this plant in LECA, she had the nutrient solution and she had a large system in here, I was filling to the top. And so now I know, like, when you have lower light, I feel like if I had higher light, and if, for example, I had this under grow light, I think I could do that and they would be fine. I'm just keeping the water level halfway, and because of that, I have to water this more frequently, just making sure it's like moist at all times, so not like sitting in the water. I think there was actually a time during the summer where this leaf was getting too much light. I think it was, and there was like bleaching on the edges over here. You can't really see it though. Currently, the one that's crawling is like the leaves are touching the window. And so I want to say like medium to bright and direct, depending on the day, depending if it's raining, depending if it's overcast, depending if it's clear skies. Kind of hard to gauge, but so that's that one. This one's actually getting, I want to say low to medium light, because even on the sunniest days, she sits right up where my finger is, over here. Not under grow light and quite far from the window. Again, you gotta, this is not fully correct as per Daryl, but I love you, Daryl. Your plant needs the view of the sky. When she's up there, she does not have the view of the sky. And so I think that's another reason why these petioles are so long. Let me try to showcase. Do you see how long these petioles are? Like they start down here and they're up here. It could just be how the plant is, but they're just kind of reaching for the light. And so what are my opinions about like, what is my conclusion about light with the Mcdowell? I do think they can tolerate lower light conditions, but I would say medium, and I mean like 500-foot candles maybe, up to a bright indirect light number like 1,000 to 1,500-foot candles. Again, this is just based on my experience growing this plant in LECA and growing this plant in Pon, seeing how they do, seeing the root rot when she was living in LECA. And if y'all have opinions about lighting or anything moving forward, like please leave a comment in the comment section below. I'd love to hear. Temperature, again, 60 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit and humidity 40 to 60%. Lots of airflow. These are, the vent is right there and both of them are right under the vent. During the summer times, it's really, really cold air, kind of constantly at 60 degrees Fahrenheit. During the winters, the heat is on. It's a dry heat, but we're trying something different this year where we don't turn on our heat unless it's needed, unless the temperature drops lower than 60 degrees Fahrenheit. I kind of have a firm belief that the majority of my plants, they might take a downturn if long-term they're sitting at lower than 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, I live in Canada, so it's kind of inevitable that it's gonna drop, so I will be turning on the heat soon, but we haven't so far, and it's December. Kind of went through the watering, so that one has a reservoir. This one also has a reservoir, so you can fill it, and through time the pon will wick up the moisture and therefore up into the plant's roots. Always having that reservoir just ensures that the roots don't dry out completely. Pon holds on to a lot of moisture, more than luck in my opinion, and so that's why I've been more careful, because in my experience, when the roots are too wet, you see so much yellowing on the edges. I don't know if that's anyone else's experience, but ever since I was more careful, like stayed like super dark, no yellowing on the edges, and I'm happy. I think in the past too, when I had it in LECA and the roots grew into the reservoir, I did cut them. You can do that as well. They will branch from above. And obviously if you're doing that, just make sure you're really giving it a lot of light. Because if your plant is receiving no light and you cut the root, then the plant can't rebuild. And so just make sure you're giving it the optimal conditions at that point. Feeding, when it comes to a Dean Mcdowell in Lechuza Pon. Pon comes with slow release fertilizer. It's been a year at this point. I think they say like 3 months is like, on average, that's when it's depleted. So anytime after that, you should do at least a diluted nutrient solution, in my opinion, once a month. So I do use my LECA nutrient solution, the one that was the 5 mils per gallon for FloraMicro Grow and Bloom. I dilute that further with 1 part water. So 1 part nutrient solution, 1 part water. and I do it once a month. Anytime in between when it dries out, I just use plain tap water. Again, Pon does a really good job at holding onto a lot of the nutrients, so again, it should be fine. Another thing that's common with philodendrons, you'll notice these dots. Do you see? I don't know if y'all can see, maybe the backs. So philodendrons, they do secrete sugars, unlike the backs of the leaves or surface of the leaves. It's very sticky. A lot of people, when they see this, they think it's pest related. It's not. It's just a mechanism that your plant has to, like in nature, bring in a lot of the good bugs and, what is it called? Symbiosis? I feel like, oh my god, Star Trek with the trills. Symbiosis. So it's not pests. It's just how philodendrons are sometimes. And what are my overall opinions when it comes to ease of growth? I do think this is an easy plant. I really, really do. Like, you can get a big one, you can maintain its leaf size. I kind of ignored mine when it was in LECA, and I mean, now I'm being more careful and trying to, not overwater it. But this is an amazing plant. I do recommend this plant. It's so beautiful. Again, I have no experience growing this plant in soil or an aerated mix, but I would just assume that you would need a chunkier mix. Listen, I feel like there's a lot of, I think the majority of people grow their Mcdowells in aerated mixes anyways, so what a journey. I don't know if I'm missing anything, but I'm all scattered right now. What a journey. I'm also wearing my onesie. I totally forgot to change. Like, from almost dying and like, starting my whole collection in LECA into like a gigantic beautiful specimen that like bloomed once and like threw like a branch out in a random spot on the same plant, then getting a lot of root rot and just cutting the plant back all the way down to stumps and crossing my fingers because like I hate doing that, and for me it takes longer for plants to grow from those little things and then into like these specimens. Are you kidding? I am so happy. I am so happy. So again, I want to share this because, I mean, I feel like I've had experiences with this plant in LECA, experiences in Pon. I mean, both times, like, the plants have grown so much. This is all I did. I hope this, like, helps a lot of y'all with your Mcdowells because it is such a beautiful plant. I don't know what day this is coming out, but lordy, I hope y'all are enjoying Vlogmas. And y'all know my opinion about philodendrons. Like, they're not my favorite. They used to be my favorite. I should tell you how much I love the Dean Mcdowell because she has been with me for so long. And so what are y'all's experiences? I would love to hear. Thank y'all for watching. I will see you in the next one.